JQ Crafty here with another layout that was done in August, but I am finally posting now. It's September. Oh, and if I could stop yawning whenever I do these, that'd be great. Here is, that was a look at the papers, and that was the scrap lifting challenge for one of the scrap lifting challenges from Paper Issues. And I really, really liked the idea of having the negative space cutouts and then having that popped up on the foam. So the background is actually lifted away. So I going through this kit that I have used a ton of. In August I made a few other layouts with the same papers, so you can check those out in my August playlist. It will be linked below. And I'm using I did them all for the same kind of girls trip we did. At one point I Snapchatted, or not Snapchatted, oh my gosh, what's it called? FaceTimed, with my son and my two sisters while we were on this girls' weekend. We FaceTimed with my son, who was home. This was kind of the first time I was away from him for more than like a couple days, so we decided to give him a call and FaceTime, and he was so confused, but it was such a fun memory, and I took a screenshot of us FaceTiming just because it was pretty fun to see his face. So all I did was cut out the word hi a few times of this background paper. Obviously I saved some of the letters to be used at a later date if I need them, but right now I'm popping it up on foam, just using the leftovers wherever I can to get an idea of where I need to place the papers to go behind them. And so in the layout that we are scrap lifting, there's definitely a design like going kind of diagonal behind each of the stars and not quite covering it up, but kind of. So I kind of wanted to emulate that. I really liked the way that looked. But instead of doing it with the shape, doing it with my title, basically. So my title's just hi. There was a lot of logistics and thinking about this one, actually, like trying to figure out like how do I get them to stay and not have to sit here and slide under, because you don't want to adhere the whole thing down. Yeah, it was a lot of thinking, and maybe it wouldn't be. It was just that day my brain just didn't want to do it, but I made it work. I cut out a lot of me fussing with that background paper, partially adhered, partially not, getting the foam on. It was a struggle, let me tell you. But I'm just mixing up and putting all different sorts of papers behind it, and just partially backing the words hi so they're not all solidly different colors, so that craft cardstock actually comes through a little bit too yet. So just finishing that up, and then I will tuck in a bunch of fun stuff in those words too. Like I have the random embellishments that came. This is an old scrap room kit. I have some random embellishments yet that came in this kit. 3 being some chipboard little banner things that there is that twine across the scrap lift layout. So I ended up just creating a little banner across. You'll see that here coming up in a minute. Just getting the foam now tucked under pieces of the letters. Trimmed down my photo. I matted it. Gonna add some more blue strips behind my photo. So essentially what I did is I put foam underneath that blue background paper and only adhere down a corner. And then I would lift it up and place all those strips behind the words. And then when that was done, I added foam everywhere else, like in between the letters, in the little spots of the letters, and peeled out the backing off and then slowly adhered it down. Yeah, I had these buttons that came in the kit, and I thought they would look really cute tucked in to add a little another texture and pops of color behind in the words. And then I had the ephemera that I had pulled out for another page I did with this kit. That's a bunch of flowers and butterflies and some of that stuff I was able to tuck in. And I used some of the leftover jelly bean soup scraps I had from that I think it's grandma's bean soup or something. I did a few other layouts with it last month too. It was just kind of Mod Podge. This is why I call this my hot mess kit, because it is just a Mod Podge of a bunch of stuff. And I'm learning that I am not part of the How to Kill a Kit with Style like group that does this, but if they would like another person, I would love to join in with them. But I really like the idea of having something, especially when you have a big stash, and I have way too big of a stash for my own good, but having something to focus on in the month so that you're not overwhelmed. And I feel like if you have just your entire stash at your disposal every time, and like you could do different chunks of time, but to get more things done, you need to like focus, have like a more narrow focus so that you aren't indecisive. So for example, I really like watching all the How to Kill a Kit with Style girls. Like that is my favorite. I make sure I keep up on those all the time. And because it gives me a lot of inspiration of things you can do with things in your stash. And I love seeing and getting the satisfaction of finishing something. But my whole point here is, I digress, but I decided to start doing that, essentially, like creating a kit, creating more narrow focus, because the reason I wasn't getting anything done is because every time I would have a picture and I'd want to use something, I'd be like, well, maybe there's something better. Maybe I have something else in my stash somewhere, not knowing what I have all in my stash because it's so big and I haven't like looked at all of it in so long that I don't really even know. So making a kit every month or having something to focus on really just makes you get it done, because like you find something that goes with it. You have some papers, or you have a picture that go with those papers, or vice versa. And instead of thinking maybe you have something better, you use it, because you're like, this is what I'm going to use. And besides this stuff, maybe extra embellishments, or like I have a bin on my desk that it's all this stuff that's almost used up. Like my goal is to reach for that only. And unless like I think of something that I know for a fact I have in my stash that is really old that goes with something, I'm not going into that, and I'm just using these kits. Now with this hot mess kit, which is a bunch of partially used kits, almost gone kits, and I say kits as in scrap room kits, because I used to get the scrap room kits all the time, and so I have a bunch of them that I never used because I just kept thinking, well, maybe there's a different one that'll work better for this photo. No, just use it. just use it. So having these kits is a really good way to get more things used up and to actually get projects done, because you have a narrower focus and you don't have the world at your fingertips, essentially, like everything at your disposal, and you're like, nope, this is what I'm focusing on. It creates a focus, and it helps me not be so scatterbrained, if that makes sense, and think that I have all these other things. So as I'm using things up and things are almost used up, I keep them at my desk to use them up completely, and then it's just less things, and until that's used up, I'm not going to add anything more to that, if that makes sense. But then I also add in, a couple of newer things, like these sticker books. I'm going to add, because right now I'm adding some things from this sticker book, and I'm going to add things like this also if they go with it, but those are on my desk at my disposal to add to all these older stash items. So yeah, so this layout was all about getting those, the background basically popped up, and then I put that cute little banner across, photo, a couple clusters, and then clustering in behind all the highs, or if you were going to scrap with this, all the different popped up elements, because now you have these little places to tuck. So there you have it. Keep on watching. I will have a lot more of this hot mess kit at the end of this month, and so hopefully some organization things. Just gonna add some splatters of white acrylic paint, which don't show up the greatest, but they just add a little bit of something. Close-ups coming up next. Maybe I can join in with How to Kill the Kits with Style Girls in October. We will see. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm glad I have this focus of this hot mess group of stuff to hopefully get finished this month, and we can move on to another group of collection of items I have, or maybe even actually work on a new collection. That would be kind of fun. But thanks for watching again. Enjoy. Bye.